We finally figured out the Israel versus NYC time difference, guys. And this, what we're listening to right now, is this is the latest from Nissim Black. He is an Orthodox Jewish rapper, formerly of Seattle, currently in Israel. His most recent single, The Havasan, which incorporates traditional melodies of the Havan of the Gila, hit YouTube in January, and it's killing it. We ran it yesterday, a little more in its entirety, and it was awesome. The whole crew is bouncing along, although they have no rhythm. Nasim, can you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes. Thank you so much for joining us. And I love it. Like, not only does it not appear that there's that much of a delay, I can actually see you. You'll find that sometimes we'll talk to someone in upstate New York, and it's like, and like there's a delay. And
yeah, you have a really great setup, obviously, too, as someone who is in entertainment.
Yeah, exactly. That makes sense.
All of that.
There's no rhyme or reason to it, and it really annoys me. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Now, unfortunately, because I'm horrible at what I do, you were recently in New York, and I should have booked you then, but I wanted to waste our technology.
Exactly. I see. That's what you wanted to do, but. Either way it goes, I may be back in a few days. We'll see. You never know what happens.
Oh God, please keep us posted. Well, I don't know how long ago you were here. But did you notice much? I always ask this of people that haven't been here in a while. What differences you saw between, I don't know, pre and kind of post-pandemic New York? I've noticed a lot of people can be shocked at like.
It's just crazy. People aren't just in panic mode. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it's just, for me, it's kind of hard because I think Israel went on panic mode first, probably before everybody else. So it's like it was like done here for a long time.
Right.
So then going back to New York and seeing everybody with muzzles on their face, the whole thing was just like shocking. You know what I'm saying? So, and people still like, hey, watch out, and I'm just like, man, hey, lady, this is over already, no? But I guess not, they find a new way to keep coming up with new stuff.
Well, and exactly that, I remember they were in the headlines initially and as the forefront of just really kind of kicking the pandemic's ass before so many other countries. What did you just as an being there and observing it? What did you attribute that to? It's just the fact that they behaved better than we did.
I mean, I don't know what it was. I think it was like an opportunity. Every opportunity to show. We're very careful and we care about health and all these other things. I mean, I guess it's probably just something inherently. And I think it was good, obviously, right now with this Delta thing, they're really trying the best not to shut down the country again. Mostly, a good amount of the population has already been, vaccinated and everything else. So I think it was really just trying to be ahead of the curve and stop something because, it's although it's a small piece of land, there's a lot of people over here.
Right.
So, you have the opportunity for the hospitals to get overwhelmed like crazy. So I think they were just trying to move fast.
Well, and you live in Boy, I apologize in advance for my pronunciations of all of this. I'm such a goy. Beit Shemesh? Is that correct?
Beit Shemesh. Yeah, Beit Shemesh. Yeah.
Now, that's about 18 miles outside of Jerusalem. Is that, I would assume that is, and this is a stereotypical American assumption. But when you think of Jerusalem, a lot of times you think of makeshift rockets flying into Jerusalem. I would assume that's a safer area than being in Jerusalem proper. Or do you guys get sort of do you guys have issues there as well?
You're more safer than, the, hand-to-hand issues that you may have or terrorist attacks and different things like that. I mean, rockets, I don't know how much are landing in Jerusalem. Also, too, you have to realize that's also sacred to to the other faith as well as I don't know about Hamas themselves, but there's a lot of Jerusalem it's really divided. Quite honestly, it's a high Arab population or Palestinian population, high Jewish population. So over there, even though that's the hot speed, that everybody's more disputing about the place more than it's actually happening there. Where I am is also too a little bit safer. Like for instance, a little bit ago when the rockets were going, it was like a fireworks show from over here. You could just see all the Iron Dome taking down everything like one by one. So it was like everybody over here sat with coffee and and sat down on the on the balcony and
That's
watched the
good.
Rockets go.
I'm a pussy. I wouldn't be able to deal with it.
Yeah.
You don't have to agree with me.
Listen, it was scary. It was scary. A couple days, for sure.
Oh,
Like the first day when it really started happening, the sirens went off. We had to go to the bomb shelter. My son heard a boom. It was about 15 minutes away. You know what I'm saying? Driving. After that, a couple days, no school. You're a little nervous, and then after that, it was a fireworks show.
Yeah.
I was reading that you got kudos from, of all people, it's McDaniels, not McDonald's. Daryl McDaniels from Run DMC is a huge fan. That's got to be pretty. That's got to be pretty cool. You were actually invited. God, I don't have the event in front of me. I believe Obama was still in office, but you were invited by our president to something several years ago. Of the celebrities that you've met, which one sticks out, and have they ever said something really stupid with regards to either a question about Judaism specifically or Israel overall? I mean, there's got to have been one that really sticks out.
Not, right now we're living in the era of PC, of politically correct. I don't even know how you get your show off the ground yourself, but everything's about being
helps.
PC. Right, exactly. So I don't know. I haven't ran into anybody who have said anything. Fat Man Scoop and I become good friends, and I think I mean, the weirdest thing he asked is if he can wear, Strymel, the fur hats that we wear on the Sabbath, like he just wants to rock one for recreational reasons, you know what I mean? So apart from that, I don't know how outlandish I've heard anything about, Israel in particular, but
I have an idea for a potential collaboration, and let me know your ideas on this. I mean, we are seeing, I think, more, especially in the rap community, faith-based music. I mean, Kanye West with his gospel.
Yeah.
And what if you were to do like a collaboration with Kanye? I mean, I think that's probably, he's a little busy, but
Living in a stadium right now.
if he had some time, like, I think that could be so cool to kind of have this sort of blending of faith and music, right? Like, if you're gonna do it, like,
if you're gonna do it. Nah, for sure. Listen, I would love to work with him. I mean, growing up, he was one of my favorites for sure. Right after the Pac, Biggie, Jay era, when music was kind of, Jay-Z, I guess, would just own hip hop for a while, for a few years, whether people wanted to like admit it or not. Like, now the numbers for sure show, but right after that era, Kanye like just rose into like my number one spot. So as a creative already, he's been one of my favorites. So I would love to do something with Kanye for sure, without a shadow of a doubt. We can make it happen. You make it happen, or we gonna make it happen?
I'll make some
He was
calls.
into masks. He was into masks before it became fashionable. When you think about it,
That's true.
Yeah.
So one of our producers in the booth, Bobby, I think has a question for you.
I apologize in advance. Bobby, is your mic working?
Yeah, I was just going to take it a different direction and say, have you rap battled any Palestinian rappers? You know what I mean? Maybe taking it off the streets and into the booth, you know what I mean? Kind of like East Coast, West Coast did back in the day.
Oh, interesting.
Oh, that's a very good question, man. No, I have not. Man, I haven't battled anybody in a long time, man. I've been sort of like, trying to, that thing, like, you know what I'm saying, where you keep talking about like, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to hurt you guys, whatever. I'm keep my belt protected because I don't want to lose it. So, that's sort of what I've been doing. I haven't battled anybody in years and years. So, nah, most definitely. I don't think we want to see that yet.
I think it's getting a little old in the sense that now, especially in New York, we have comedians that do roast battles. I think they stole it totally from the hip hop community, but yeah, it's never as threatening. And it's a lot more whiny, I've noticed.
Really?
Yeah. And I probably, considering how many of our guests are actually comedians, I probably just screwed myself by saying that. It's still a wonderful format and an art form.
Yeah.
Could I ask a follow-up? You said you feel pressure, kind of, like you don't want to lose the belt. Do you feel, as being labeled a Jewish rapper, a pressure to perform better and harder so you don't fall into the gimmick side of things? I mean, most of your songs bang, they have a good beat and a strong rap behind them, but like, do you feel an additional pressure because you are coming from that field?
The thing is, like, I try not to think about it too much. I think, my authenticity of just my journey and where I've come from speaks for itself. My mother was a rapper, my father was a rapper. I grew
I
up,
love that.
in hip hop, and so for me, I think if that hadn't been my origins, then I probably would have had that pressure. But just because this is like, waking up, in the morning, going to brush your teeth, going to put your clothes on, go inside the studio, get inside the booth. Like, that's been my life since I was a kid. So, I mean, I think I professionally did my first record. I was 13 years old. So, by this time, if you got stage fright and worries and fears about what other people are gonna think, you're probably in the wrong business.
Yeah, that makes sense. What was the biggest learning curve going from the Pacific Northwest to Israel? Like first moving there, you've been there for 5 years, correct?
Yeah, I've been there
Yeah.
5 years, man. Oh, there's a whole lot of learning curves. You have not only do you have the different demographic difference, you have the cultural difference. I come from the hood, so
Right.
that's already going to be a cultural difference. Like for instance, if anything different, not just my skin color, I get it from because I look different. I get it because I'm a celebrity in the community. But there's a sport of staring at people, especially amongst the ultra orthodox, and it's like a family affair. Like the fact that that is something rude and should not be done never made it to the community ever. Nobody
Ooh,
ever
this
got.
sounds like my
Nobody ever
kind of
got.
community.
never got the email. I mean, I've
Interesting.
watched people literally walk into poles from staring. You understand what I'm saying? I've watched this real time.
Really?
So coming from a place where if you stare at somebody, you can lose your life, right? So you have
Mm.
to really understand the dynamic of just like moving to a place, let alone, there's no such thing as like, oh, excuse me, sorry, I'm in the way or any of that. Like everybody moves, in sardines, there's no such thing as a line. I come from, like I said, the PC capital of the Northwest of Seattle,
Without
right?
a doubt, yeah.
Oh, without a doubt, right? It's like you had a stoplight and everybody's going, no, you go, no, you go, no, you go, no, you go. Like over here, everybody's playing Russian roulette on the road. No, like it's like the complete opposite of everything I had ever grown up in. You know what I mean? So you talk about an adjustment. That is something. It's been 5 years of adjusting, but I love it. I do love it.
And was your wife good with the move as well? Because obviously she converted as well.
Right, right, right. So my wife was very good. I mean, I couldn't move
And you guys were like high
until she
school
was good
sweethearts,
with it.
right?
Yeah, since we were 17, I was 16, she was 17. I like older women. So yeah, we've been together since we were in high school. And yeah, we did this whole entire journey. At the beginning, she thought I was nuts, when I started learning. By the time, we got on the same page, I still was about 2 or 3 years before her ready to move to Israel until she finally like said yeah and acted like it was her idea in the first place. So by the time we got to there and we moved, now my wife had moved sight unseen. She had never been here before. I had at least been here and got to visit and check it out. I knew what I was looking for. She moved here and she loved it. She moved us into like the most ultra orthodox neighborhood she could possibly find. Like
Wow.
she did all this,
Wow.
and I'm just been so surprised. She's leaving actually tonight. My wife is flying back to America for the first time. She hasn't been there in 5 years, so this would be her first time going back to go visit her mother. But yeah, she's in love. She doesn't even want to leave, even though she needs to go visit her mother. She doesn't even want to leave, so it's very interesting.
You guys picked the right place then. That's great. And
Yeah.
have you found just for the fact? See, that one thing I've always liked about Judaism is they're not as big at recruiting as aspects of Christianity and other religions. Like there's you don't hear as much about the missionary aspect as well. But have you been? Have there been leaders of the community that have come to you and said, you know what? You would be a great way for us to make some more inroads into the African American community, is sort of like being able, because like I remember you said in one interview that like there's ways that you could talk about Judaism to another black man that a rabbi
right.
wouldn't be able to.
Yeah.
So have they
Right,
asked you to sort
right.
of take advantage of that, or probably back?
Yeah, absolutely. I've gotten it from a lot of different people just because it's a major need, especially as you've been seeing what's been going on in New York and just some of the issues between the two communities have been a wonderful opportunity. And I think somewhat, the most powerful tool is music. You know what I mean? It crosses all barriers, all languages. You know, like my song "Motherland Bounce" did that in a major way that opened up conversations that probably wouldn't have happened otherwise. You know, so I think that that's one of the main ways. But that song also was good for me because it reopened up a door for me back into the Black community also to be able to speak and to be able to have those conversations myself. So yeah, I definitely been having the encouragement. I realize my spot in terms of being a bridge for these two communities, which somehow always end up right by each other. You know what I'm saying? I grew up very, very much so near the Jewish neighborhood, even in Seattle. So you're like in New York, everybody's back to back. New Jersey, everybody, is right there by each other. So much more to be done, but for sure.
What did you find to be the most difficult aspect of the conversion process? I mean, the fact that I got to tell you, boy, you've done a lot of things that are particularly brave, but the circumcision thing. When you're an adult, I can't even fathom. I mean, was it that? Now, the other thing for me would be pork. I'd have a hard time giving up.
Really?
Yeah, that's the thing. I try not to eat that much meat, but bacon.
I could give up pork.
No, aren't you
You
greater than me?
yeah. I
But
mean,
how
listen,
did
we
all
got so
that
many
go?
good. I mean, you got so many good fake alternatives. The faking, the Jewish faking's very, very good, and it's
I didn't
very
even know that
interesting
was a
for
name.
people. Yeah, it's a thing. It's a thing.
That's
So
great.
you got to do what you can. You got to do what you can. And my mother did make some mean pork chops. I'm not gonna lie, she made some mean pork chops, but all of those things is because I think I had such an initial like fire, what I'm saying, for Judaism. It wasn't like, it's different for other people also too. When you grow up in any religion, doesn't matter what it is, whether it's Judaism, you grew up Christian, very strong pastor's kid or whatever, you really don't take advantage of the beauty that you have within your own faith or your own upbringing or culture. Doesn't matter where you are. So somebody that comes from the outside that sees all the beauty, they may even learn, like there are people who use better grammar in English for the people that had to learn English and the people who grew up saying speaking English the whole entire life.
Totally.
Right? So it's
good
very
point.
similar in the religious aspect that I kind of came in with the fire and I was like looking for something else to do or something else to stop doing. You know what I mean? So I didn't really feel any of the pain. Now, when you talk about the circumcision, thank God my mother took care of me when I was a baby.
Oh, I thought you had to get it when you were.
I'm not done. I'm not done. So there is a procedure where they have to still draw blood from you if you were circumcised already.
Oh.
So if you weren't circumcised and you medically go through it, then the rabbis go when you have your medical procedure. And if not, then there's one rabbi who he pokes into you till you bleed. So
Oh, wow.
hopefully that's something I try. So that is a little, you could get over the mental, but I think the other thing is because it's a 2-part process for men. For women, it's only to go under the ritual immersion after court, after you go to the court of the rabbis or whatever. But there's a ritual immersion that happens for both male and female. But for the men, you have to do the prick. And then if you have children, which I did, I had 2 children, I had to drop my baby into the water, the ritual bath. He was only 8 months. I had to let him
Oh,
go,
gosh,
in the
yeah.
water. That was the scariest thing that
Yeah.
I can possibly think of. And he stopped breathing afterwards for a little bit. That was scary.
That is, wow, that unbelievable. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I know, speaking of kids, and thank God everything ended up being okay, but one of them had a bad bout of meningitis, correct? Was that here, or
Same,
had you guys already
No,
moved?
That was the same kid, and it was after he was it was only when he was 4 months. So Baruch Hashem, thank God. I should say he's doing very, very well. I mean, he's 9 years old now. That was when he was 4 months.
Wow.
So that was a tough battle at the time, because you didn't know what was going to be, what was going to happen. But yeah, he's great. He's great. No birth defects that we can tell of right now.
I would assume, just for particularly how quickly they kicked elite COVID compared to us, that the healthcare system is pretty good in Israel, huh?
Yeah, but it's socialized medicine. So some of it you miss being able to go to a private doctor, which you
Yeah.
have a lot less of that here. You have a lot less of it because America has all the Jewish doctors, so they all left over there. So,
yeah,
but I'm joking. I'm just you have socialized medicine, so it's a little bit more difficult to to push your doctor around. So,
Right.
but it does make the healthcare system much easier where you don't have to worry about big pays or fees or copay, these type of things. So it definitely takes a head off.
I need to ask one last question. I hear great things about Jewish wine. I'm not sure if I'm a big wino. I'm not sure if you drink, but I mean, Israel,
sure.
I just had a friend who actually took a trip to Israel. It was a wine trip. She's like a sommelier. The wine in Israel is absolutely amazing. So I was just curious if I should book my flight now or later.
Right now, you'll have some trouble getting in because of the corona thing right now.
Yeah.
So they're trying to keep it cool. So don't book your flight just yet.
Yeah.
Wait a little bit, but you must come. I didn't get into wine. I have my own whiskey actually. But,
Oh, okay.
Oh, really?
Which is like I have my own whiskey. It's called Hava whiskey, like Hava Nagila.
Hava
So I have my
whiskey.
own
That's a
whiskey.
good plug. We should have had them send
Yeah.
us a crate. Yeah.
Yeah. We gotta send you a crate. So I know for sure the whiskey's good, but the wine, yeah, for sure, it's next level. Next level. I would say one of my favorites. There's a few different ones from Carmel. There's a Organous. I mean, you can't go wrong. The problem is that it's so many different wines. It's hard to choose.
Sure.
Like every Sabbath, Friday night. You have to get a nice good wine. And I never know what to choose. I'm in the store for like an hour and a half trying to go through all the different wines and trying to figure out, ask the guy, which, but you can't go wrong here for sure.
Love that.
And the whiskey's called Hava whiskey?
Hava Whiskey, HavaWhiskey.com. That's it.
I love
check
it.
us out.
That is awesome.
I get you a bottle.
Well, listen, Nasim, I will press Aaron to let us know if